So, hi, my name is Aaliyah. I'm a first year student at Stern at New York University studying marketing and entrepreneurship. And would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Gianni. I'm a senior at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm majoring in human services.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I'm Marjani. I'm a freshman at Binghamton University, and I'm majoring in environmental sciences.
Hey, my name is Ramon, or Ray. I'm majoring in computer engineering at the University of Illinois, currently a junior, hoping to graduate with a double major in business, but we'll see how that goes.
Cool. Yeah, so we're here to talk about the conference that I attended several days ago, and the name of the conference was the 500 Startups Unity and Inclusion Summit. And it was basically just a conference that spoke a lot about diversity in business and the statistics of like the percentage of women and women of color and different minority groups that are able to like receive funding from venture capitalists and pursue their businesses and things like that. So
That's pretty cool.
Well, I had a question. Have you ever been to something like this before? Like, have you ever seen those statistics before you went to this?
I've attended conferences about like women, but I think oftentimes like when you attend conferences like that, it's really just like the emphasis on women as opposed to like even more marginalized groups of women. So I think it like loses a lot of like content about like women of color specifically. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't able to learn about like a lot of the things that I learned at this conference before.
Mm. Cool. So you would say this conference was more balanced when it came to like diversity across the board?
Yes, for sure. Okay. We definitely learned about I've learned before that like Black women are the highest demographic of group like of people that start businesses, but I didn't learn about like the numbers in terms of what percentage of like women of color and people of color in general receive funding from venture capitalists, because the venture capitalist world is still like particularly white male, so it's more difficult for different groups to receive money in order to pursue their social ventures.
Cool. So I have a question. I was wondering, did you like meet anyone there that just like absolutely wowed you? Were there any stories that you heard that you're just like totally inspired by?
I learned about one woman who I believe she went to Cornell and then she went to NYU for law school, and then after she became a lawyer, she started going into the venture capitalist world, and now she specifically tries to fund women in the venture capitalist world for different projects. That was like pretty awesome to hear about.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you connect with her because she was from NYU? Just was wondering.
No, I wasn't able, there wasn't really that much time because I actually like had to leave early, so I didn't really get to do as much networking. I wasn't really able to attend the panels yet. I had work.
Okay.
And then, so was it just like there were a bunch of sessions and you were able to go like different, like choose like what you wanted to go to and stuff like that?
Yes, there was one session about like how to receive money in the venture capitalist world, and there were multiple other sessions on things like the technology, which I didn't attend, but I went to the session on how to achieve money like as a woman and like trying to receive money from venture capitalists. And a lot of what they said was just like building connections. You're able to basically go and speak with other people that worked with certain venture capitalists, and you enable like so that you can learn about how they treated the previous like clientele that like received money from them. So it was just like learning a lot about basically receiving money from people as almost like a business connection, but a personal connection. Like there was a large emphasis on speaking to people that really like believed in your ideas, and also going like trying to pursue the venture capitalists that were more interested in like women or like your specific field. And I feel like that was really helpful, because also hearing about how like you should like reach out to the individuals that received money from them before in order to see like were these people like really having their back when like it got tough, and like were they helping them as like a mentor and things like that were like important in like the success of your business. So that was like interesting to learn about.
That's pretty cool. And like, what does diversity mean to you? And did the conference have like a particular definition when it came to diversity?
Yes, for
And
sure. Definitely like, okay, being from like going to school at NYU and being from New York, I think like we always talk about how diversity in like a simpler term is oftentimes almost seen as like a race quota and things like that, but there's like a lot of different types of diversity, like race, ethnicity, like age, socioeconomic class, and like previously, if an individual's parents were able to get to college, like are they first gen, and like diversity in terms of coming from different areas, like and believing different things just because of that. And I think the conference really touched on that a lot because they spoke a lot about different types of diversity, and that one specific woman that I spoke about earlier actually had like a image up on her like her presentation that showed that they like her specific venture capitalist fund didn't just look for diversity in one type of way, like you're not just gonna like fit the box, because they actually genuinely cared about like showcasing diversity, and so they wanted to like have people of different economic statuses and people of different genders and like things like that.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Like you made a good point because like when I was thinking of diversity, I know it's like it's a big boo-boo for me because I'm a human service major and we deal with a lot of populations. But I think you're right. When most people think about diversity, it is kind of like a race quota or like maybe like a gender quota. But yeah, it was a good point about the socioeconomics and age and like stuff like that.
And I was also wondering, like, there were 500 startups here. Were they mostly like one type of thing? Like, were there a diversity of like what fields they were in, or were they mostly like business or mostly tech? Or did you see any overarching themes like for those?
People were pretty varying, I feel. I remember one man was talking about how he made this like gave me hope because there's a lot of like social ventures I want to pursue, but sometimes I feel like if it's not technology or something like that's very clearly sustainable, then people are just going to be like, we're not really interested in that. So
Yeah.
there was one man that spoke about making an app that basically styled men his age, which I believe were like from the 30 to like 50 age demographic, and it was like an online stylist that would personally like help your clothes like decide your clothes for a certain day and things like that. So it was definitely like a wide range.
That's really cool.
Super cool, actually.
Well, okay.
So, oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was referencing back to what you were saying before about like what people said for like the general theme, like among like how you'll achieve success. Like, were there any other, like, was there a general theme among like what people said, like what made them successful, like what did they go after? Like what sounded like you were saying was mostly networking, but were there any other things that like a lot of people said that made them successful?
I think that one thing you definitely hear a lot at these conferences is kind of like learning that your own, like you're like the master of your own experience because no one else has like gone the route that you've done, and there's always like certain things that you can like do, but you really just have to like learn from your own mistakes. But I feel like one of the really important things that we learned was like to have mentors and to really like do a lot of research and to talk to a lot of people, because then you're able to learn about the mistakes that they made so that you don't have to make those mistakes. And that was like a really I feel like that like left a mark on me, like definitely to just be able to speak to other people and hear what they did wrong, because then when that comes up like in your situation, then you'll say, okay, like I shouldn't do this because like I heard that before. And also people talked about having mentors, like speaking with a mentor early on and really just like reaching out to people, like cold calling people and trying to receive advice from them on certain things in order to like streamline your path quicker to just being able to be more successful, as opposed to like making mistakes that might be detrimental.
Well, like in that regard, you're talking about cold calling and reaching out to people. Do you like feel like there was someone at this conference that maybe you want to go hop on their website and shoot them an email or something like that, or maybe get more personal advice from them?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that woman, I think that I should definitely
Really?
like look her up because her name is still on the paper I had from the panel. So I think that would be like a great connection to have for sure.
So I was just curious, like obviously when you're, building a business or a startup, there's always a rough patch no matter how good you are, how smart you are. Were there any like really cool comeback stories or like, stories of people's like toughest times and how they got out of it?
People honestly didn't really speak about their toughest times, but they did speak about building a connection with your venture capitalist
Hmm.
and like making sure that you're working with one who is able to not only just provide you with money but also like guidance and support, because like when you're like working in a startup, it's almost like trial and error and like extra costs come out, and so like working with someone that's really going to be there to help you, not someone that's just like not available when
Yeah.
everything hits the fan. So I feel like that was like really important, because even in terms of like business, I think oftentimes, because I go to business school and people often speak about shareholders in a way that it's just like, oh, we just have to serve the shareholders, we just have to get the money back to the shareholders. But like I've definitely learned when you're like taking money from people, it's really also building like a relationship with them, and like them understanding like who you are and who they are, and that being a good match. So I feel like that was really important also, like just kind of taking in the idea that like it's important to get funded for your idea, but it's also important to like have a long lasting relationship with an individual who's going to be able to provide more for you than just financial support.
Cool.
Pretty cool. And that is a good point, because I know like a lot of people, like that's the biggest struggle for most people is to get money to get their startup going. But
Yeah,
it is equally important to have someone that you can grow with.
exactly. Because like you might receive the money for them and then the contract can be, could be iffy. That's also another thing that I heard is
Mhm.
investors oftentimes kind of don't really expect their money back, because like typically when you're investing, you don't really think that you're going to get it back. But that's why they're just in investment. They're just searching for things that they like truly believe in. And so
Mhm.
one person said that just make sure in the contract that because like their payoff is really good, but they're also very protected typically in the contracts. So one person said to just like really make sure that the contract would be fair to you, because oftentimes people just agree and don't really like look
Yeah.
over it very clearly,
Mhm.
like
Gotta get on
especially as young
there.
people. So that was like important to see like what the payoff would be if you weren't able to return the money and things like that.
Well, besides that, were there any other like big takeaways or like something insightful that you got from this event?
Um, Definitely. I mean, I already knew that the venture capitalist world was very like white male, but just hearing about how like oftentimes a lot of venture capitalists don't want to invest in women and stuff. Another thing I remember hearing was kind of like the fact that men are typically asked promotion questions, like what are you gonna do to market this, or how are you gonna like make this successful, like what type of manufacturing techniques are you gonna use, while women may be asked a lot of prevention questions. And so that was like definitely disheartening for me, but now I know if I'm ever trying to
Mhm.
like um trying to like showcase a presentation, you kind of see how it goes.
So were there a lot of other students there, or was it mostly like people who were trying to start their own businesses?
I feel like it was a lot of people that were trying to start their own businesses. It definitely seemed like an older crowd, which was cool. Um, it definitely would have been cool to have been able to hear about like also being a student while trying to make a startup. But I think that a lot of the information that they gave was helpful.
Hmm.
And like, how is this like you were saying, as from a student point of view, how is this different than like a class lecture, I suppose?
It was definitely a lot from people being able to speak from personal experience, which I thought was like pretty cool. And they were like very seasoned, like had a lot of experience, had gone to school and, you know, gone back to school and had moved from different places. And so they were able to like provide a lot of information that I feel like you wouldn't get in a classroom setting, just because it's not necessarily, it was more of just like, I feel like it was a mentorship type of like conference where people were able to show you what they did and show you the path that they took, as opposed to
Yeah,
kind of just like, okay, this
like
is
a
what you do.
classroom setting where it's like so broad.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you said this earlier, but where was the conference actually located?
It was in Soho, I think, in New York City, at a
Okay,
place called Galvanize. Yeah.
cool.
I was gonna say, since we're like part of Q Careers and everything, did anybody mention that they were part of an association or like how that helped them, I don't know, start their business?
No, I actually didn't hear about any associations, to be honest.
Yeah, it was just like more of an individual thing, I suppose.
Yes, yeah. People spoke about like the connections they made through other like individuals and just like doing research online, and like specific like type of tools that can be used to figure out like, okay, this person specifically likes investing in women, or this person specifically likes investing in technology or fashion, and how that could like differentiate, like looking at their portfolio so that that could differentiate like the people that they may or may not want to try to work with or reach out to. I felt like that was like basically
Okay. Well, I couldn't remember if you said that you had to leave early so you couldn't network that much, but I guess like how many sessions did you end up going to?
I went to three sessions.
And like while there, like between I guess shuffling through sessions, did you like meet anyone interesting?
Honestly, I really didn't have time to even really like, we were basically just sitting in the sessions, like going throughout the rooms and like talking to people. It was more of like networking at the end, so I didn't really have a chance to.
Okay.
We
I
like
get you.
went around and kind of introduced ourselves a little bit, but we weren't. It was mostly just like the speaker like speaking, and then there'd be like a few questions at the end.
I thought it was cool how you were talking about like how it's like really different for women versus men when they go into like and talk to people about promotions and everything. Did anybody else talk about like why their specific background like held them back or made it more difficult for them to start their business or to move ahead in business, and like anything specific about like their background like made it that way?
I think that a lot of people's focus was on kind of just like showcasing what they had done in order to have a positive impact on the people that are there. So people didn't really talk about the downfalls, but I feel like the demographics in the beginning where they spoke about like the I wish I took a screenshot of like this the statistics of like the percentage of like women like lower socioeconomic status and like things like that. I wish I took a screenshot of that because I feel like that was really like they conveyed like the inequity between the different groups and what groups were able to get more funded and which weren't. And also even the return. I remember also learning about the fact that although like males will receive more money, you actually see women like returning the money better. And so it was just interesting to see like the return on investment, like regardless of the fact that like women actually are the people that like were getting the money back better. But I feel like individuals didn't really like speak about the fact that they were like from a certain different demographic, and so like they felt disadvantaged. It was more of just like we're trying to like discuss diversity in business and how we were able to like achieve funding.
Did you have, I feel like this variation of this question's been asked before, but like you went to 3 sessions. Which one was your favorite and why?
I was able to go to a session on like branding, and I always like really enjoy learning about branding, so I felt like that was my like one of my favorite like learning about like the quality of things that you're like creating and how to really like make it marketable. I feel like I really enjoyed that because I was like specifically like relevant for me.
Mhm.
Like, how was the crowd? You said that it kind of skewed older, but were there like a good amount of men, a good amount of women, like a certain like demographic that was like more presented, or was it like a good mix?
I saw a lot more women in hijab, which was like very nice to see because I feel like I've been to other business conferences and I haven't really like seen that much.
Hmm.
I felt like men and women were probably like equal. I think there might have been more men than women. Um, but it was pretty around like 50-50, I'd say. Um, and it was definitely a lot like people of color for sure,
Hmm.
like primarily.
Okay.
Yeah, does anyone else have any questions?
Would this, I actually do. Would this be something that you would like to do again, like a conference that you would like to go to again, maybe next year?
Yes, for sure. I definitely feel like the information was helpful and I'd like to network this time. That would be great to be able to
Mm.
speak with people and like maybe have them reach out to them so that I could get some mentoring. That would definitely be great because I think even if you don't necessarily think that you want to go into a certain field, it's just nice to like have that exposure and the connections so that you can learn more about it. I'm definitely always like open to just having
Yeah.
to like learn more about a field and to like go into it because I want to do a lot with activism
Mm.
and things like that. So like obviously I would like to make a lot of money so that I can just like um, pull that into all like my social ventures and things that will have a positive impact on other communities. So like
Mm.
going into the venture capitalist world is not really something I see myself doing because I'm not much of a numbers person. I'm like in business
Mhm.
school, but I'm also like very creative. But I feel like being able to like dabble in venture capitalism and like help other women to pursue like things that would be social ventures would be like a lot of fun. So
Mhm.
I definitely would like to go back.
Yeah, definitely. Like connections never hurt, regardless of
Yeah.
what field.
That's true. That's true.
Is anyone going to any conferences this summer? Like I'm not, but
Actually went to another thing yesterday. I went to this thing called Sip and Slay, where it was a lot of like creative women in New York City just meeting up, and I had a really good time. It was a lot of fun, and
that's cool.
we got to hear about like digital media platforms and how to make like social media profitable
Hmm.
and stuff
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
like really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
Oh,
cool.
Yeah, that is one thing that I never got, like how these Insta famous people are bringing in all this money. Like how does that happen, to be
It's
honest?
I don't know much, but from
Like
like what okay, you could go because you've been to the event. You
right. You
probably
went
know it better than me.
part of it is with bloggers, like blog monetization, you can get money for making your own products, but you can also get money from putting ads on your website. And so the more
Okay.
readers that you have, the more
Yeah.
like ads they click. You also do affiliate marketing where like say like I show somebody these earrings. Oops, sorry. And I say like if you go on this website, you can use my like discount code and get this percentage off. So then that company gives me like a certain amount of commission from the amount of sales I'm making from people. Um, Also, you can get money from like Instagram, like ads and
Mhm.
things like that. And I think also Instagram like pays people from like after I don't know how many amount of followers you get for the amount of like likes and follows you actually get because it's like increasing their engagement. So then they kind of see you as a business partner. So that's just
Yeah.
like one of the ways that you're able to make money, and also like brand deals. Like if you work with a specific type of brand, like say I want to work with like Shea Moisture for like shampoo or something, and they'll pay me like a certain amount of money to showcase the product in like a creative way that's representative of my brand that also showcases like what their strengths are, so that and like people that are at the top, like make like $1 million deals with brands. So that's actually something I'm interested into in terms of like using the influencer space and Instagram like model space, but in order to do activism. Because I think like it's nice like that these models are getting paid so much, but I feel like being able to do that and like pool those resources into like specific causes would be like really cool. So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I honestly don't have anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
been really cool.
Well, since we're all like interns, do you have any internships like going on locally, like for the summer or in the near future?
I'm doing research with one of my professors. We haven't started yet, but that should be like interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not specifically sure, like she hasn't gotten back to me yet on what the project is going to be. Previously she was my race and ethnicity professor, so previously she's done research on basically, I think it was during the 90s, having like what internships Black men versus white men were able to get, based on the basis of like, even if you're doing a technical or training program, let's say like that two, like a Black man and a white man, like both did the same tech program. It was basically talking about how the teachers wouldn't give like Black men an internship then, because the internship would be going into people's houses and things like that. And so like the Black male like wasn't able to actually like really get employed even after going to school because he didn't do the internship, because it wasn't like socially acceptable to have some random Black man in your house. So it was just like, she did research on like the effects of that, like the discrimination, how it affected like economic inequality. And so it'll be interesting to see what we work on this summer.
And you said this was from the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's so crazy.
That's kind of shocking, honestly.
Yeah, since it's not that far off.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you learn about how the civil rights movement was just in the 60s, it's not even surprising anymore.
People are still alive, right?
But yeah, how about you guys? Any internships?
Nothing on this.
I'm shopping for internships because I have to do like a grueling like 400 hours my last semester, so I'm shopping right now.
Okay.
And it's fun. So I'm going to different nonprofits and see like, how can I help you out? How can you help me out? It's gonna be fun. And it's like also networking because they're local and I'm gonna eventually be working in this community. So I have to like eventually make connections with those organizations anyway. So it's gonna be fun.
Cool.
I haven't really got anything lined up. I guess like for working, like I'm doing like grading like tests from like the local middle schools and like high schools, like for Common Core tests, which isn't really interesting, but it's cool because I might be interested in education or something like that. So.
And what was your major again?
Environmental sciences.
Oh wow.
English minor, so right.
That's cool. Well, I think I'm all.
Yeah, me too.
It was very informative, though. Questioned out, yeah.
Right, it was really nice speaking.
It's a lot to digest.
It was
a lot of good stuff to digest.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, it was like nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
nice
it was great meeting you guys too.
And good luck to your have a great summer and have a great school year.
You too.
Of course.
Good
You
luck.
guys too.
Congrats.
Nice meeting you guys. Take it easy.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.